Welcome back to another installment of the Quarantine Q&A here on the Westmoreland Sports Network as we're talking to local athletic directors from high schools around Westmoreland County. I'm Sean Myers, joined by Dan Flickinger, and we're talking now to Mike Burrell, the athletic director at Greensburg Salem. Mike, thank you for taking the time to do this.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you having us on. Thank you, as always, you guys, for the coverage you guys provide. It's awesome.
Mike, I've known you.
Very fortunate.
Absolutely. I've known you for a handful of years, going back to prior to your time as the athletic director at Greensburg Salem, but for people maybe unaware, provide a little bit of your background.
I was an assistant at Henfield and Norwin for about 4 years total. And then when I was at Norwin, I was then hired at North Catholic, and I spent 6.5 years there. And then in January of last year, I was fortunate enough to be hired at Greensburg Salem to take over for Lynn Job, who retired. And she's been a great mentor and someone I can lean on for advice here. Cleaning out the waters and things like that. But so I've been here for a year and a half. I love it. Coaches are outstanding. Administration, people I work with every day are just outstanding people. We have great teachers, great coaches, and kids of Greensburg Salem are very fortunate.
And certainly you're not new to being an athletic director, as you mentioned, but I'm sure you're learning a lot, and there's been new experiences during your tenure at Greensburg Salem. So over the past 18 or so months, what have you learned about the district?
I started at public schools, larger public schools, went to a private school, and then back to a public school. Well, there are some differences for sure on that end, where in a public school, you have your kids that live in the district, and when in those private schools, you can have kids come in at any moment, a sophomore, junior, and is it a distinct advantage? It is, especially for the coaches. Having kids come in at any point in time, that puts in a disadvantage for the public schools. There are pluses and minuses to both. We had some great coaches at North Catholic, some I'm still friends with, who will be lifelong friends with, and they do a great job. But like I said, we have some great coaches here at Greensburg. Very fortunate with, we're starting to upgrade some of our facilities. We just, put a new turf project at Offutt Field and hosted some, PIA soccer playoffs, WPIAL football playoffs, and we hosted here at our gym the last couple years in the PIA playoffs too. And those are some things that are, put our district in good light, show off our facilities, helps our booster programs. And again, we're very fortunate to be able to do some of those things.
You highlighted Offutt Field. That has been the longtime home venue for the Greensburg Salem football team, and of course also the home of Seton Hill University Griffins football. I know that there's a lot of pros and maybe some cons to having Offutt Field. Historic, no doubt, but it is off campus. So what is your take on that situation and the positives and negatives that maybe come with that?
We probably play in one of the most scenic venues in maybe in the WPIAL, if not the state of Pennsylvania. It is an awesome atmosphere to look at the county seat, the courthouse in the background at night. It is phenomenal. Do I wish it was on campus? Absolutely, because it's a little challenging sometimes where you're transporting kids or they have to get there. Where other districts are, it's right on their campus in their backyard and they can walk to it. I wouldn't change a thing about Offutt Field though. It is awesome. Maybe a little bit more parking. But other than that, it is a scenic venue. You're right on top of the action. We're very fortunate to have it. Again, it's a little challenging sometimes when we have to, transport kids there. Friday nights or events like soccer, in the evenings you're traveling to go there. That is what it is. You adapt, but again, we're very fortunate to have a facility like that.
Yeah, it's really exciting, Mike, when you pack that place, because the fans are right on top of the players. So when there's a lot of attendance there and a lot of people there for a big game, it gets really exciting.
Absolutely. And we hosted a WPIAL semifinal this past year with Gateway and McKeesport, and we had a great crowd there. And it came down to the last series, and having that place packed, it was an awesome atmosphere. And we hope to do that this fall. We have our home openers versus Henfield in football. It's going to be at Offutt Field, hopefully our 700th victory. And it'd be a great place to get that place packed.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I know you guys are very proud of that, and you should be, and hopefully you get that early next season. And again, I'm sure you guys feel that there's no better team to get it against than the crosstown rival, Hempfield Spartans. But you guys went into the playoffs last year with an opportunity to get win number 700. You went up against certainly a good Blackhawk team, and the game was close at halftime before they kind of took over there in the second half. But a solid football season for you. And, I know you're very excited to hopefully get that 700th win nice and early in the fall.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a great year last year football-wise. We competed in a really very tough conference. I mean, the two teams that played in the WPIAL championship were in our conference, Bell Vernon and Thomas Jefferson, and Thomas Jefferson ended up winning the WPIAL and state championship. So we had a real tough road in our conference. We had a great win against West Mifflin. They really put us in third in our conference, and we battled against Blackhawk. Is what it is. Our numbers are continuing to grow. We're very fortunate. We have a great coach and a great coaching staff. Coach Kiefer and his staff, he's put together. A lot of former head coaches are on that staff. Casey Kavanaugh, Ray Ritz, former coach at Jeanette. We're very fortunate to have all those guys, and they work really hard and really well together, and we're very fortunate to have them.
And you got the sign outside that says 699. So, again, hopefully going to be flipping that thing soon.
Yeah, for sure. Our seniors, they tried so hard last year that, but I know that they'll be behind us all the way, so we'll be able to turn that 700 next year.
Staying with football, Mike, the WPIAL has its realignment every 2 years, so it certainly keeps things very interesting, and we're having another realignment coming up this fall, so it'll be interesting to see some new sections. And this time around, there were some multiple options, multiple ideas that were presented to all of the athletic directors in the district. And so when you take a look at what the ideas that were presented and kind of what the WPIAL decided on, what are your thoughts and kind of how does it affect Greensburg Salem? I'm
pretty passionate about this. I'm fortunate enough to sit on the WPIAL football steering committee. Mm-hmm. So we sat down and we tried to do the best options for all of the, is it a perfect system? No, it's not. It's an imperfect science that we, to try to meet everyone's needs. I can honestly say sitting down and being on part of that committee where, doing the alignment, doing the crossover, the non-section games. Mr. O'Malley and Ms. Suman did an outstanding job of going through. We made sure that in the non-conference games, people had a lot of requests when they did the survey, where they were coming in, we don't want to play, we want to try to avoid this or do that. We would like to go here. We would like to go there. Again, are you going to please everybody? No. But again, there was so much time and effort put into it. I think that, the Board of Control, like I said, Mr. O'Malley and Ms. Suman, they did an outstanding job. When we went as a committee to go over conferences that were presented, again, we have charts, we have maps that we try to do our due diligence of making it the best possible scenario for the entire league. And again, a lot of gripes that you heard in the past were the crossover games. Again, those were all examined team by team for competitive balance, geography. And again, there was a lot of time and effort put into it. I think it really turned out really well.
When you talk about realignment, one of the notable changes for the next cycle is the addition of Ligonier Valley, another Westmoreland County team, joining the district. And I know in terms of geographic proximity, it seems like maybe the Rams could be a future opponent for Greensburg Salem for various sports. What's your reaction to Ligonier Valley coming to the district from District 6?
I think it's great. I think it's a great addition to our county. I know that they, county sports that we have here. I know that they competed against some of the schools already, but to have them part of the WPIAL, I think that's their natural home and where they belong. Again, I think that we wrestled them this past year. They came here to wrestle. I know we've played them in some other exhibition sports. They competed in our county wrestling tournament, and I know Darien schools out that way have already been competing against them, Latrobe and that, et cetera. So I think it's great. It's an outstanding. It's a great addition.
And they used your football field at one point last year, correct?
It may have been before me. I think that they might have used it before I arrived here, maybe for some practices, but that wasn't last year, I believe.
A change that you had for spring sports was the addition of a new coach for softball, Alyssa Bates, and she has a great resume being a former player for Hempfield area, a team that has a winning tradition. What did she bring to the table? What stood out about her?
Alyssa is a great pickup for us. She was an outstanding player at Hempfield. She was a great player at Gannon. She was actually part of our staff for the last couple of years. She was assistant under Rachel Brannigan, who did a great job. Rachel, family was expanding, so she couldn't handle all the sports that she currently coaches because she helps out with volleyball. But Alyssa is a great addition to our head coaches that we have. Caring, knowledgeable, just an outstanding person. Also, great role model for the girls. But again, she's a hard worker, and our program will be in good hands with her. And I know that she played for the famous Bob Kaup, who's a personal friend. And, I know that when she was hired, he had called me and said we made a right decision. And that means a lot coming from a guy like him, for sure.
Talking to Mike Burrell, the athletic director at Greensburg Salem. We talk about softball, a spring sport that unfortunately will not be able to be played this year. And the word came down recently that the state was canceling the spring sports. I'm sure it's disappointing for everyone involved, players, coaches, and athletic directors alike. What was your reaction when that word came down?
Yeah, I mean, you're really heartbroken for all of your spring sports athletes, especially your seniors. But I mean, it is a very unfortunate situation. Like I said, your heart really goes out to all of them that won't get that the senior year, or they're juniors trying to get noticed for scholarships. And there's so many things and so many factors. We have a lot of great coaches that work very hard in the off season to prepare our kids. But again, you really feel bad for those spring sports athletes, especially the seniors, and not being able to have their senior year.
What else were you looking forward to in terms of the spring sports? Because I know baseball and softball, especially here in Westmoreland County, get a lot of attention, but there's about a half dozen sports that compete in the spring sports season.
Yeah, we have great and successful baseball programs, softball programs as well. We have an outstanding track and field program where we had a lot of individual athletes, and even the team aspect where we were going to compete. We had a lot of kids that do great in the WPIALs and move on to the states. And, we have a very rich tradition and a successful athletic program. And again, I attribute that a lot to our coaches, our families, our kids. They work very hard. We have an indoor, track and field program that our coaches get no stipends. They use our vans, but our coaches put so much time and effort into it. Our kids do, just preparing for it. And unfortunately for them not to be able to compete this spring, but again, they've been working their tails off, and we're appreciative of it.
Mike, I remember talking to you about this in the winter, but you decided this upcoming winter season to have the boys basketball program play up in Class 6A, and certainly there's pros and cons to that. One of the biggest pros is you'll be able to compete in a section with some local teams, Hempfield, Penn Trafford, and Norwin, and I'm sure you'll be playing maybe Latrobe at some point. So there's obviously a pro there, but certainly a challenge is you'll be playing against bigger schools. So what kind of went into the decision to move into a Class 6A for the boys basketball program next year?
Currently, we're in a conference this past year with Laurel Highlands, Penn Hills, Woodland Hills, Gateway. Great schools, great basketball schools, and great competition. I mean, Laurel Highlands won a WPIAL championship. Penn Hills is in the semifinals. Gateway's always been great. We were in a very difficult conference, and we were traveling to go to those schools. We felt, Mark Zahorchak, who does an outstanding job, he's our boys basketball coach. We got together and we talked. And we said, what's our best avenue for our program? And, we had felt that if we're going to play good competition schools like that, we want to play our local schools. We want to have great rivalry. We want to get the gyms packed. By playing Henfield, by playing Norwin, by playing those local schools, we're able to do that. I think we can compete with them. Again, that basketball that conference we're leaving is just as good as the 6A schools that we're set at, that we have in our conference currently. So that was our, we want to bring those local rivalries back. We want to put, pack the gym. We want to have those great atmospheres, and we're able to do that by playing in 6A.
The basketball program there, whether it be the boys or girls at Greensburg Salem, there's been a common thread, and that has been the last name of Mankins. And I know on the girls' team, Abby Mankins had a terrific season. It looks like she is going to be one of the best players in the WPIAL for years to come. What impact has she made on the program, and how bright do you think Greensburg Salem's future is in that sport?
I think it's very bright. Abby is an outstanding young lady. She works very hard at basketball. I mean, she's basketball 12 months out of the year. Both her parents are basketball coaches. It's a basketball family. This past year, she being a sophomore, she was our leading scorer. She plays AAU throughout her whole summer. She was named to the Trib All-Star team again as a sophomore. She really does work hard. She's a sweet young lady. She's always positive, always a smile on her face. Her younger sister, Caitlin, she'll be coming up through also. And again, we have a lot of supporting cast around her that are really going to make us good come in. And we're bumping up to 5A in girls also this coming season. So once that alignment comes out, we'll be able to see where we fall in what conference, and then, get some quality exhibition schedule on there. But again, our future is very bright in both boys and girls basketball.
From one female standout to another, I think a unique story and an interesting one at Greensburg Salem was that the Golden Lions had a female state wrestling champion in Riley Stoner, who also competed on the boys team, if you will. Kind of take me through that, because I know it's not the typical circumstances, because in terms of what she had to do individually, it kind of went away from typical WPIAL and PIAA competition, but she certainly made her mark at the school district.
Absolutely. Riley's a great young lady. She's going to be continuing her wrestling career at Gannon and Gannon's first ever team, all-female team. She really works hard at her craft also. She's able to compete on our team. Obviously 99% of the people she competes against are on the male side. She competes, on her own individually on the female side. And this past year, she became a two-time state champion. She won it last year, and she won it this past year. And again, Riley works very hard at what she does. We're very fortunate. That's another outstanding program we have with Rich Traditions, our wrestling program. We're well over 700 wins there. And our coach, Randy Parsley, and Patrick Hutchinson, who's an alum, who's also a phys ed teacher, they do a great job. I mean, they really do. They work hard with the kids. Our numbers are through the roof. We're in our mid-20s in wrestling. Wrestling schedules just come out this, a little past about last week, and there's a lot of schools you call to do wrestling matches against, and they've got 4 or 5 kids, so they're forfeiting all these other matches. Our numbers are through the roof wrestling. We had a great bunch of seniors go through, and again, we're very fortunate with those guys and girls. But Riley did a great job, and she'll have a really great future at Gannon.
And I think one of the great things, Mike, when you talk about your wrestling program, not only the tradition, but the way that they welcomed Riley in as just another wrestler, and I think that was probably really important for her, and certainly important for the team. I mean, they recognize her as another wrestler, and they root for her, and I'm sure they were very excited to see her win another state title.
Absolutely. I mean, it's no different. I mean, it's no different if anybody else on that team. I mean, Riley is part of it. She's part. There's no separation just because she's female. None of that. I mean, there's not at all. They do a great job with that. Our kids are awesome, and she really does work hard, and that's something to be very proud of. Because there was an article in the Tribune Review a few weeks ago where Greensburg Salem has had a state champion in the past how many decades, and Riley got that for us before 2020 came. So it was very fortunate for us.
I know that this is an unusual time, an unprecedented time, and for athletic directors, much like coaches and athletes, schedule has probably changed quite a bit. Now, you're still going to the school, at least sporadically. Take me through what your schedule has been and how much it's going to affect your routine, even into the summer where I know you remain very busy involved with athletics.
Yeah, I mean, athletics really never stop. It's a constant, we're scheduling things, out of season conditioning, getting ready for next year. This is a little bit of a lull time. I hate it. I'll be 100% honest with you. Where, we get a lot of stuff done. We never get that opportunity to catch up on certain things that we want to do. We're able to do that now. You miss seeing the kids. You miss seeing the coaches. I send a weekly update with our coaches, communicate with them all the time. But again, you miss the interaction with the kids, which is the most important thing. And that's the thing that's the hardest. Again, we try to catch up on a few things. We're releasing schedules about one every week here where we can catch up scheduling for the future. And pretty soon, once we get the directive of when we can open back up, we'll be scheduling for our out-of-season conditioning, getting prepared for next year. Again, we get to catch up on a lot of things, but again, it's a constant go, and we'll be ready. As soon as the ban's lifted, I know all of our student athletes and coaches will be ready to get moving.
Mike, not only high school sports being canceled in the spring, and of course the winter championships, but there was some news recently that the American Legion baseball season has also been canceled. And I know that you play a little bit of a role in that as well with, some of the your other job, I guess, in the summer where you do some umpiring locally, and we always see you there. And trust me, we never question any of your calls. A strike is a strike, a ball's a ball. Yeah, right. Just don't go back and listen to any of the broadcasts, Mike. That's all. But just your thoughts on that, because again, you see these kids, and I give so much credit to the local coaches that coach Legion baseball, because as the AAU leagues have taken a lot of players away, or they're sharing time, but the Westmoreland County League is still pretty darn strong.
It is, and that's a true testament of the leadership of the league and the commitment to them. Jason Bush, they do a great job with that. I mean, they really promote Legion baseball throughout the area. Numbers are, team-wise, Matt Sofran, who is a teacher here at the district, he also assigns the umpires for the American Legion of Westmoreland County. And him and I were talking the other day, just the amount of teams that we have, Junior Legion and Legion throughout this area. It's tremendous. I mean, it's, like you said, AAU has really taken over a lot of stuff, summer ball-wise. But again, we're going strong here. Again, that's another thing that you feel for the kids, that, again, that's sort of almost taken away from them, where they can't have their season. It's another season, and those kids that are 18 and 19, that's it. I mean, they're not going to be able to come back and play this last year. And again, it's something that's unfortunate. And hopefully they get an opportunity to play some ball elsewhere. It's just, I think it's the time frame of where Legion baseball falls. If it fell in July, started in July, went into August, we may have a shot at it. But since it usually starts in the middle of May, and end of May, then that's where we're kind of handcuffed. But again, that's another thing you feel for those kids.
You mentioned your unique perspective at a job at North Catholic, which is a private school, and then, of course, Greensburg Salem, now a public school. But throughout your 10 years as athletic director, what is your favorite part of that job?
Just the interaction with the kids. You see kids get to grow through sports. Their dedication. I've met a lot of great people, kid-wise, athlete-wise, parent-wise, coach-wise. I've been truly blessed with everywhere I've gone. There's been outstanding and dedicated coaches. North Catholic had some great coaches. Norway, when I was there, had some great coaches. I actually coached softball one year with Bob Kaup when I was at Henfield.
Taught him everything he knows, right?
Oh, they broke the mold when they met him. I have more one-liners from him than I'll ever forget, for sure. But again, everywhere I've been, I've been very fortunate. They have great coaches. When I was at Norway, Henfield, North Catholic, and here at Greensburg Salem. The interaction with them, the friendships you make there with them, they'll last a lifetime where anybody ever goes. But again, those things that you look back and you're very fortunate to have. throughout my career as an athletic director.
And not only coaches, Mike, but certainly you working at North Catholic, you've gotten an opportunity to work with a number of different athletic directors, and now at Greensburg Salem. I know that talking to some of the ADs around Westmoreland County, you guys stay pretty close with one another.
Oh, for sure. We're constant communication with each other. Good friendships are there. All the surrounding schools. A little shout out to Tom Evans, AD at York, who just made the WPIAL Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
As an official, as a baseball umpire. Tom's, who is, I believe, retiring at the end of the year. I hope I'm not, being the first person to spread that rumor. But Tom is retiring. He has had a great 36-year career. Outstanding person. He deserves that Hall of Fame honor. No question he does. Is
there anything been going on in your quarantine, Mike, that's been interesting? Are you a Netflix guy? Have you caught up on anything?
I watch a little bit of Netflix. I just finished Ozark series, the third season of that. Man,
I did too.
That'll keep you on your seat. And, that's a great show. I just started Money Heist too, so we'll.
Okay.
I'm not a real big stay-at-home person. It drives me crazy, to be honest with you. So if I'll go cut my grandparents' grass, do something. Try to keep me busy. I try to golf. I've gone to West Virginia a few times to golf, get out of here, just to cut the monotony a little bit, but that is what it is.
Yeah, and I'm all about staying safe, but I don't understand really why golf courses are shut down. That's just my opinion. If you can golf, you don't need to golf in a group. Just take a cart out yourself, or even walk. Let them golf, right?
Yeah.
Let us golf.
Exactly. My brother is actually a golf pro at Sewickley Heights, and they've been closed for a couple months, and they're all ready to get back out. Hannistown, which is our home course here, which I played 100 times. You look across the way, and it looked like Augusta. Man, there's not a mark on it. It's green. It's beautiful. Unfortunately, we're just not able to play right now on it. Hopefully, that'll be lifted soon, and those guys will be out playing.
Mike, we appreciate you doing this. Thank you so much for taking the time, and hopefully the next time we talk to you, it'll be under better circumstances.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you guys interviewing me. We're doing a lot of these Zoom meetings at work, and you really realize how thin your hair is on top when you see yourself in these things. My principal I was just talking to before, he goes, you'll be all right. You have a good face for radio, and I know what he means.
Yeah, so do we. Mike, you're looking good. Yeah. You're looking good.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You guys too. But no, thank you guys for all your outstanding coverage. You guys do a great job, especially promoting great Westmoreland County sports. And, a little shout out to those guys at the Tribune Review, Paul Schofield, and all those guys that, were laid off during this time, and Bill Beckner and Chris Harlow. They do such a great job, and I felt real bad for them that they're being laid off, and hopefully they get to come back soon.
Yeah, they're good people. They're good people.
They really are. They really promote high school sports, and we're fortunate to have guys like you and them.
And we're certainly fortunate to have the opportunity to talk to athletic directors like Mike Burrell. Mike, thank you for doing this, and again, we'll certainly catch you sooner rather than later, we hope.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
That's Mike Burrell, athletic director at Greensburg Salem. This wraps up another edition of Westmoreland Sports Network's Quarantine Q&A right here on the Westmoreland Sports Network.